morning, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, I was awakened with tears rolling down my face. I was thinking about the past 40 years. Oh boy. And I was thinking about what's happening today. People dying by the thousands all over this country, all over this world. I remember so vividly 40 years ago how struggles can make you. That wilderness was something else. It began because I saw more pain than I could bear. I saw so much suffering, and I saw it needlessly. I saw the cause of all of our suffering in that men just could not care about one another. There had been something that had been planted in them called greed. And their whole life, it appears, was all about money. Money. And some were more able to amass that money than others. And others just had to suffer because everything required money. And they didn't have money. And so something inside of me said that was wrong. And that if we changed our way, we could have just the total opposite heaven without dying to life, but dying to the systems that we had been brought up under and taught under and conformed to. It's been a struggle, ladies and gentlemen. I've done what I could do. Sometimes I was forced to do things because when you got nothing but what you got, that's all you got. And you use what you got, and you'll be surprised what you can get out of that you got when it's all you got, and you use it. I've traveled many places in this country and throughout the world. I've seen some trying things. I have seen communities of people living, eating from trash cans. Oh my God. You never think that human beings could be so cold toward one another. I came to Minnesota with a message from Mississippi that we were on a path that was leading us straight to hell, and that we had to change or we were going to end up right there. Traveled the streets of this nation. I spoke in churches, on corners, street corners in the state, in missions in some states, that we were on the path to hell, and if we didn't change, we were going to soon be there. I made CDs and DVDs, did radio programs, trying to let the people know that there's a day coming if we don't wake up. I even ran for public office, using it as a podium to speak to the people of the cities and the towns and the churches and whomever would hear. We're on the path to hell. If if I got really any real support from anyone, it was my wife. Sure, there were other people who did things for me when I had no place to sleep. They invited me into their homes, fed me. I appreciate them. But I wanted you to know that we were going straight to hell on the path we were on, and we have to change. When I ran for President of the United States in '88, and my wife will tell you that I ran for president every year since then, but I had to run as a write-in because no Democrat wanted to hear anything I had to say. No Republican wanted to hear anything I had to say. And what poor person who had just as much as I wanted to trust what I would say, especially with the training that they had gotten? You can't profit from anyone unless they got something. And when they meant profit, they mean con it, take it from them. Not only did I run for president, my message was so genuine to me till I broke the law several times. Went to jail for breaking those laws, trying to get this message to you about how serious it is, how serious it was. Prisons in Philippines, prisons in Japan, because I still wanted to carry forward and did the message, and refused to take orders when I was in the military because this message was so genuine. I ran against Bill Clinton as a write-in. Nobody would support anything I said, not even the church. I ran against George Bush. I saw him coming. I saw that misguided individual coming. In fact, that's the time I had to commit a crime that ended me up in prison. And confirmation came that the day I was released from prison is the day of 9/11. I was coming out of prison. The planes were going into the trade centers in New York. I cried because I knew it did not have to happen. But the people could not hear. In efforts to survive, I spent time washing dishes and running for office and speaking. I ran against Barack Obama. Still the message, we're on the path to hell. I guess America saw me as a black man, a descendant of slaves, an expression of poverty, cotton fields, picking cotton. How could I know anything? I have always been a big joke to everybody, but that's okay. I never stopped. It was not always an easy road. Sometimes it became so depressing I would spend time engaging in other things, trying to put it off my mind, constantly planting seeds and getting nothing back. And then the presidential election of 2016. Donald Trump, Miss Clinton, and I'm sure some others, And you can bet, yes, I was there as a write-in. I was the joke. I'm sure there were others, but I was definitely one. I knew America was on the path to hell because of the hatred that people had for one another, the racism, the bigotry, the lies that were brought into our system of survival. Some got, some don't. Lying and cheating and stealing. Terror and war. We're on the path to hell. Church, please help me carry this message that not only are the people on the path to hell, the church as well. But the nation, not all of them, at least enough of them, saw an evil man come up out of New York City. A very evil man. He had all the records to prove that he was an evil man. Ambitious, yes, but as evil as could be. He told people he was a billionaire. He didn't need anybody else's money. He had a starting, what somebody may say, a goose egg, a starting amount. And his wisdom, he told the people, allowed him to amass billions, billions. And if they chose him to be their representative, he would do for them what others wouldn't. And he was not alone. He had one of these big old planes standing behind him when he would go out in public in places where that plane could be landed. The big white man, the billionaire, with the big planes and big buildings all across, not just this country, but many other countries with his name on it. The billionaire savior, white, rich. And some of the people went crazy. They affirmed that if he killed somebody, he could still go free. They affirmed that nothing he could do would they, my friends, go against. Not just the people in the community, but even the United States Senate and a certain part of the United States House of Representatives. They knew he was a liar. They knew he was no good. And yet they marched him up. They put him up on the throne. Part of the country says he's no good. We got to impeach him. Look what he's done. Look how he's working. There can't be any good in this man. And so the people came together and say, we're going to do what we can to protect the rest of us from this man. And they started an impeachment proceedings. And the House of Representatives, impeached him. So he went over to the Senate, a Republican Senate, for it to be affirmed that he had to get out of this office. But they said, no way, Jose, this is our devil and we love him. And they kept him in. And then, ladies and gentlemen, something terrible began to happen after a while. After this man has proven himself to all of the nations of the world just how crooked, how heartless he is, talking about America great again. Made the world think that nobody else matters. It's America. And whenever we get into a discussion, it's like being in an arena. I'm going in to win. There's no such thing in his mind that we could all be winners. But somewhere across the somewhere, a virus was forming. We didn't know where it was coming from. I think today we don't know whether it came from a big bang, like they say the earth did, or whether some of these people seeking after money went into a laboratory and created it. Doesn't matter whether it came one way or the other. It's having its effect on you, on me, and nation. Even when we found out, or when the word was passed across the line, it appears that these things, this virus, this death warrior was ready to move across the world. We got the message, but this evil man that you put in your office, this evil man that America put on its throne, didn't want to do anything about it. Why? Because they would mess with his ability to make money. Money, money, money. And while this message went out to other nations, they started preparing. We, by our leadership, refused to prepare because money was more important. And he would say things like, blame the Democrats. It's a hoax. They're just trying to bring me down. Why are they trying to bring you down? Because they know you are a crook, and they do not want a crook running their lives, even though over a third of the nation does. To make a long story short, you put the devil on the throne, and now you find yourselves in a position like down in Egypt land, when it seems that there's nothing that you can do, and death is sweeping the nations of the world, and it's bringing a lot of us down, our parents, mothers and fathers, our children, sons and daughters, our grandchildren, our co-workers, our church membership. We're all being brought down. And I sit this morning on the side of the bed crying because it didn't have to happen. And even today, a message about peace and prosperity and freedom and joy of life and the fulfillment of dreams, where every individual in this country and across the world could have unlimited supplies of food and clothing and shelter, all be educated, not trained, but educated to think, health care from the womb to the tomb, and no idle hands around, because everybody has a career objective that they can engage in the process of producing all of those things that keeps peace, prosperity and freedom, joy and dreams. Nobody wanted to hear it, still don't, I don't think, because this demon spirit that lives in the rest of us who don't want peace is alive and well. And this man who you chose to be in the White House right now, who cares nothing about anyone but himself, I would like to think he cares about his family as well, but can't be sure of that, is so out of his mind to all of the hurt and pain that he has caused. He wants to blame it on someone else and then stand up before America and say, I want 4 more years. And you know what? America is considering it. But this danger that this nation is in is not over. And by the time it is, if any of us are remaining, I am sure that this evil one would have been exposed. But who do you replace him with? Do you replace him with that same philosophy that allowed him to even get into this process and become the president? Do we have nothing more to offer? And if we do, what is it? I don't care what you got to offer. As far as I'm concerned, what I said, if you want peace, there's a map to it. If you want prosperity, there's a map to it. Freedom and joy and dreams fulfilled, there's a map. It doesn't just happen. There's a map. There's a map for an individual. They call it lying, cheating, and stealing, and cunning. And there's a map for all of the people. They call it justice. So I say to the people, you know, my tears come out because I can't hold them. Just like I say to you, if we want some real changes in our lives, if we survive this, justice is the answer. And if we say, you've heard it said, no justice, no peace. That's humanly speaking. But now we see something else that's happening that we truly cannot explain. But we can spend some time thinking about what are we going to do about it. So I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, I've spent 40 years preparing and saying to you about some beautiful things that can come out of our lives. It doesn't have to be me. It's the plan. It's the plan, ladies and gentlemen. And it is not the plan of the devil. It is not the plan of Satan. It is the plan of God, not the plan of man. It's the plan of God. And when I say God, I know you don't understand because you can't see God. You can't see this virus. But there's no question about the evidence that is made and spread before us every day. An unseen enemy, and we're falling by the wayside. I advocate for an unseen Father that loves us. And if we walked according to the plan, we would experience heaven on earth. But as we move toward, just assuming we get an opportunity to have a survival of human that would allow us to keep on maintaining our social establishment, our social existence. There's an election coming up. Who do you want in that White House? Do you want that gentleman that's there now? Or do you want a representative of the philosophies that led us to this? Or do you want to try something new? That's the question. What you got, what you had, or something new. 2020, I know I'll have to run as a write-in because today no one wants to hear this message. It is the furthest thing from their mind. But as far as I'm concerned, it's the only thing that I ever heard since I've been alive that would lead to what you pray for every day. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for this moment.